Today we are going to make layered samsa. I already shared the recipe on samsa. It was so delicious. I made it in the oven because, as I told you, traditionally we make samsa in the tanur. Tanur is outside clay oven. It's like upside down a big ball on the ground, and we make naan and samsa, lots of traditional Uyghur dishes in the tanur. And today we are going to make samsa again in the oven. It's also so delicious, and it's puff pastry. It's with lots of delicious and thin layer. Let's get started. As usual, we start with the dough. For the dough this time, I'm going to use eggs and warmed up milk and salt. First of all, I crack the eggs. You will find white pieces like this in the egg. Don't forget to throw them away. I'm going to keep the half of the yolk for later for brushing the samsa. So like 1 tablespoon. I add 1 tablespoon of milk, maybe less than 1 tablespoon. Set aside. Don't forget to cover it with a plastic foil or damp towel, otherwise it'll dry out. We will get a beautiful golden color on the samsa because of this mixture. Warm up the milk, turn on the fire. Just warm it up, so don't let it boil. We are going to start with kneading the dough. I'm going to add 3 pinches of salt. 1, 2, 3. Make a little space. Add the eggs. Mix it. Now I'm going to add milk. Pour it into your hand. Spread it over the dough. Mix it like this. At the same time, you can grab it. We are going to make very smooth dough. I'm going to add more milk because I have a lot of dry flour. Make sure that you pour it into your hand first. Otherwise, if you add it at once, the flour will become very moist or too wet. So be careful with milk. It's ready. Now I'm going to cover it with a damp towel. Let it rest for about 15 minutes. In the meanwhile, we are going to prepare the filling for the samsa. Traditionally, we use lamb fat for the filling because our ancestors used lots of lamb fat in lots of traditional dish and also in the samsa. And today I'm going to mix lamb fat with beef. If you don't want to use lamb fat, you can use more fatty beef. Next step is I'm going to fine chop the red chili pepper. You may think this is hot red chili pepper, the samsa will become very spicy. No, absolutely not. Because of this colorful pepper, the samsa become very tasty, and that's why we call this kind of samsa colorful samsa. And that hot spiciness will disappear in the filling because of the meat and onion. They look beautiful, and this makes it very beautiful texture layer in the filling. For the filling, I'm going to grind cumin, so we will get intense cumin flavor, and that makes samsa very earthy and it gives lots of Uyghur flavor in the dish. It smells so good! Oh my, I love it. Cumin. You can't miss the cumin in this recipe. Black pepper, salt. I'm mixing the filling. When it's ready, I'm going to add 1 hand of water, tap water. Not too much, otherwise it will become too watery. In this way, the filling will become very moist, otherwise the meat will dry out during the resting. If you don't have a fatty beef, you can add vegetable oil. After about 10 to 15 minutes, we are going to knead the dough again. Push out the air from the dough by kneading it. Just like this. Fold it. Knead it thoroughly until it becomes very dense. As you can see, it's very smooth and it's dense. Let it rest for about 10 to 15 minutes again. After about 10 minutes, the dough is ready. Now I'm going to use a little bit flour, dry flour, and spread it over the dough and over the table, because we are going to roll out the dough with a rolling pin. Don't use too much flour, just a very little. Also over the dough. Roll out the dough. During the rolling out, you can use little bit flour, spread it over the dough so it doesn't stick to the rolling pin or stick to each other. You can also turn it around, other side. As you can see, it needs a little bit flour. Spread it over. We try to make very big rectangle form thin dough. You can also roll it like that. Press it a little bit. At the same time, your palm move to the sides. In this way, you can stretch the dough a little bit and make it thinner and bigger. You can feel the dough by using your palm and feel it like this. You will find some thick pieces. This section is a little bit thick, so you can roll it out, make it thinner. It becomes bigger and bigger, but my rolling pin is too short. My mom and grandmother, they have very long rolling pin. For rolling out the dough, you need actually longer rolling pin. It sticks a little bit to the table, so I'm going to spread a little bit flour over the dough, turn it around, spread a little bit flour over the dough again so it doesn't stick to each other. I did my best. It's quite thin now. It's very stretchy At the same time, it's very thin. I'm going to use my rolling pin and remove excess dry flour. It's like a dress. And then open it again, very gentle, because we use this layer and lubricate the butter on it. I'm going to use butter. Traditionally, we use lamb fat. It's in a room temperature, very soft now. I'm going to use my hands, grab it like this, and use it on the surface on the dough. Spread it evenly on the dough. I'm going to lubricate it until I get here. Otherwise, the dough is too big. I can lubricate it at once. I lubricate it. Now I'm going to roll it. When you roll it, do this step little by little, because this will become very beautiful layer later. There is a little bit trick. What you can do when you are rolling, stretch the dough a little bit like this. So this section becomes thinner than the rest. Then you can roll this section. Continue with the next section, stretch it a little bit. So as you can see, so it becomes very thin. So each time before rolling, stretch that section. As you can see, it becomes thinner and thinner. Be gentle, and then you can roll it. You can also stretch it to the side. Because of the butter, it will become very flexible. And you can make it bigger and thinner. Roll it again. Stretch it a little bit. If it tears, it's okay. Be gentle with the dough. When you stretch the dough, you will find it moves with rolled section, this one. So what you can do, put the rolling pin on the center and then stretch it. In this way, this section stays at that place, and then you can stretch it easily. As you can see, I already rolled up the dough, and the middle is little thicker than the sides. So I'm going to make smaller pieces and cut the sides little bigger than the middle. Each section will become one samsa. As you can see, it has a beautiful lots of layers. Other side too. Now I'm going to press it top down with my palm. This is from the side, very thin and long one. I'm going to press it very gently top down, so you don't lose the texture from it. Later we are going to roll it out to make a wrapper. and cover them. Let them rest for about 10 minutes. Little cuties. The wrappers are almost ready, but before we are going to preheat the oven. I have here a combination oven. For this recipe, I'm going to use forced air, and for preheating the oven, just leave the baking tray in the oven so it becomes very hot when we put the samsa on the baking tray. If you're afraid the samsa will stick on the baking tray, you can use a layer of oil on the baking tray, but I'm not gonna use oil because I want it to be dry on the bottom. So use the highest temperature, that's 250 degrees, and preheat it for about 10 to 15 minutes. The filling is ready. It smells very good. There is a mixture of eggs and milk. We are going to use this for brushing the samsa. And here I have a black cumin with sesame. I'm going to use this as a topping because it's very common to use these ingredients in the Uyghur kitchen. Now we are going to roll out this little beautiful cuties. Press it a little bit with your top of your fingers. Use your rolling pin. Roll it out, very gentle. It has lots of layers, and as you can see, this little rounds, let it stay at the center. If you press it too hard at once, it comes to the side, so let it stay just at the center and roll it out very gentle, little by little, by using your rolling pin. Roll out the sides like this. At the same time, roll the dough. Leave the center like this, and by pressing it, make it little flat and press it again with your rolling pin. It's pretty big, as you can see. It's a little bit smaller than my palm. Let it rest, set aside, and continue with the rest. The wrappers are ready. As you can see, I keep these rings at the center. Now I'm going to divide the filling on the top of these wraps and then wrap it up. I share the filling very evenly on the top of the wrapper. Now I'm going to wrap it up. There are many types of samsa shapes, and today we are going to make triangle form. You can do it by folding the sides like this. Press the top a little bit and fold it a little bit, and press the edges, and then put this side on the top of it and press it, and also the point, press it a little bit, fold it again. It will become beautiful triangle form. Turn it around, and this will become the top of the samsa. beautiful triangle samsa are ready. Now I'm going to put them on the hot baking tray. Make sure that you use oven glove. Take it out. Be careful. It's very hot. Now I'm going to display it very gentle on the top of it. Here you go. Can you hear a little sizzle? Look at this. Now I'm going to brush them with my mixture very gentle. Don't use too much, just a layer. In Uyghur we call this kind of samsa katlama samsa because it has lots of layers. Next is decorated with sesame and black cumin. Use some color. You can also put this at the edges like this. Make your own samsa from your own kitchen. Now in the oven. Now I'm going to turn on the heat to 200 degrees and let it stay in the oven for about 20 minutes. It's ready! Look at this! It looks so good! Look at this! It looks so good! Samsa is ready. Woo! I'm so happy. I can't wait to eat samsa. And we call this kind of samsa kat samsa or katlama samsa. It means layered samsa. I hope you like this recipe. If you ever make this recipe, don't forget to share it on Facebook community or on Instagram so we can all see your creation. Thank you again and see you next week. Bye! Oh yeah, when you eat samsa, don't forget to serve samsa with chai, tea.